Do we have anybody in the building who was here on my live earlier? Um, I went live earlier while I was doing my radio show, and I've been trying to upload the live, but it's just been telling me that it's waiting. But I suspect that the reason why it's doing that is because during the live, we were live obviously in studio, and there were a few songs that we played that belong to the artist who was in the studio. But I think because of YouTube copyright guidelines, I think that that's what's making the live not post, because I think it's like, okay, you're telling me I should post this live, but there's copyrighted music that you guys are playing full length, so I don't think that this is going to be possible. So I am pretty bummed though, because it was a really great interview, and I wished I could share it with the wider audience and not just the people who had tuned into the live. But anyway, that's okay. My name is Dipuka Moleboge. On this platform, I go by Barbs because Barbara is my first name. But it depends on the day. Sometimes Dipuka is my first name, sometimes Barbara is my first name. But it doesn't really matter. Actually, it does matter to me because I prefer to be called Dipuka. But if you just want a nickname, you can call me Barbs. But anyway, let's get into the conversation for today. The first thing that I want to say, which I think should be a topic on its own as well. Yesterday, I mentioned the glory belongs to him, and I said let that be a topic on its own today. Another thing that I want to make an intro, add as part of the intro, which I also think needs to be a topic of its own, is the topic around how, I mean, we talked about this briefly during the week about how God's plans are perfect, just like the way they mentioned in Jeremiah 29:11. And it's not it's not until certain things happen in your life or life unravels a certain way that you really truly realize that God's plans are the ones that are perfect. You are the one who plans that you want things to be a certain way. You think you want things a certain way. You plan things a certain way, but God, he's the one who, like, essentially eventually decides that this, not eventually, but yeah, essentially decides how things are to be exactly. And it always comes out perfectly according to even skills and interests you didn't know you had. And it's always so crazy. So, something else, what I want to talk about today is how the glory belongs to Him. I'm pretty sure you see people say this so many times, like Christians, deep Christians, baby Christians. You're like, what do people mean when they say the glory belongs to Him? It's just like, what do you mean? Okay, glory. If I'm to give you a brief, I don't even want to say textbook or dictionary definition of glory. Um, Glory, we talk about it when we mean, like, for instance, glory Man United, because at some point Man United had like a great winning streak. So glory is attached to winning, essentially. Like, glory is the feeling that you get, um, when you've won something, or the feeling that, yeah, it's how people make you feel when you've won something. And um, when they say the glory belongs to Him, they mean that everything that you win and that you achieve in life, it the how can I say, the applause, the glory, I'm gonna use it, belongs to God and not you. And they also mean it in the fact, the verse that speaks about this is the one that speaks about how it's not by your strength or by your might that things happen. It is all from Him. The joy of the Lord is my strength. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It all comes from His strength and not your own. So I got to think about this topic of how the glory belongs to Him a lot. Quite recently, a few months ago, I decided to get off platforms like LinkedIn, platforms like, yeah, LinkedIn specifically, because I found that on LinkedIn, I had to get on, like, perform a lot and talk about myself a lot and brag a lot about what I've done, what I've been doing. And um, all of that, when I would talk about all of that, I would be talking about it in a way that it was by my own might, my own strength, um, giving myself all of the glory. And at some point, it wasn't working because, or God rather spoke to me and said to me, my child, this season that you're in right now, you need to get your house in order. You need to get your house in order. You need to sharpen your craft. You need to improve in your craft before you start getting on platforms and saying, eh, 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 eh. And don't get me wrong, there are a few people that are able to do this well, who talk about what they've learned and then give the glory to God. There are a few Christians that do that very well on LinkedIn, but the majority of us, because of the nature of LinkedIn, we just get on and we just start talking about how, oh, I pulled off this major event by myself. I was lead of this event and I was able to do it all by myself. Please hire me. I'm incredible at the work that I do. You know what I'm saying? So in the season, I had just started radio. I think I was a month or so into radio, and I was there posting about radio, about social media, about I was also doing a series on SDGs, sustainable development goals, and I was just like, this until, like I said, it was just a very difficult season because radio is not easy. It's not easy. It's alive, and I was a beginner. And at some point, like I said, God pulled me and he was like, my daughter, I'm gonna need you to focus more on improving rather than getting on stage and talking about how good you are at all of these things or appearing as though you're good at all of these things. So it was a very humbling experience, and it was difficult because I also then started to feel like I'm falling behind, like all of this is happening and I'm not sharing it. I also then started the role in the United Nations agency, and ended up thinking to myself, okay, I should be sharing all of this progression, all of this that's happening, but I don't know how to because God told me I should. So there's this there's this sermon by Sarah Jakes, where she talks about how you have to get to a point where you move from isolation mode to mission mode. So I spent a lot of time in the more recent months, the October, August, the September, October, now November, feeling like, okay, I think it's now time for me to move into mission mode. I've been in isolation mode. It's time for me to move into mission mode. And it was so difficult for me because I was like, I don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start. What should I do? And I'm so used to being isolated. So one of the things that God pushed me to do was to start these lives on YouTube. And here we are, we're a week in, and I'm loving it, and it's going so well. So um, earlier today, I had an epiphany, where and I was talking about this with my partner yesterday. Like, you know what? This is why we talk so much about Jeremiah 29:11. You you see, sometimes things just happen, and you're just like, okay, let me go with it. I don't know where this is going. I didn't know that this was something I'd be interested in, but let me just go with it. And because God's plans are perfect and he knows you better than you know yourself, he knows every single head on your head even before you were born. It Whatever it is that you get into, that particular thing that you get into ends up taking off, and you end up being like, I'm actually really good at this. I didn't I've never thought that this would be something I'd do and be good at. So for me, this is the radio thing. I got out of my radio show earlier after, like I said, I was interviewing an artist named by the name Uncle X, very, very talented artist. I was interviewing him, and um, that was the last hour of my 3 hour show. As I was walking out, I felt like it hit me, like, Tipuka, you're actually really good at this, and I'm very proud of you because, and it's so crazy. In that moment, I was like, it's so crazy because this time last year, you if somebody would have told you would be on radio, national radio, you wouldn't have believed them. Like, you'd be like, oh, for real. And here is this thing that and also just the way it happened. The way it happened is that I reached out to the production manager at the time. Not at the time, one of the production managers, the weekend programming managers. And I was like, hey, I'm very interested in having a segment on your radio station. I'm very interested in talking about feminine hygiene issues, yada, 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 yada. And then I had a meeting with them. I talked about this in one of the previous lives. And then a slot ended up making itself available, and they felt like I was good enough. Like, they won to take on this gap. And like I said, it happened in the space of 2 months. And at the time, I didn't really think about it. I just did it. It was very difficult. At many times I thought of quitting. And now here I am, actually really enjoying it and actually feeling like I'm really good at it. And that's where we give back the glory to God, because it wasn't by my own strength, by my own might, by my own wisdom, by my own plans even, that any of this happened. He's the one that orchestrated all of it. And I just sit here in awe, like, you really know me that well, that you made this happen, and it's as good as it is. I can't believe it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we give the glory to God. That is why you're encouraged that when you are talking about yourself, even on public platforms, even on social media, to not talk about yourself like it is all you, like it is all you, like how well you're doing in your job, how well your family is doing, the health that you have, the safety. It is not you. It is all orchestrated by God. You are not the one who is in control. You think you're in control. You thought, but you're really not in control. He's the one who's in control, and he's the one who knows better in terms of where you're going, what you're good at, what is more aligned. It's a whole thing that's why they say you should read the Bible from start to finish, because that's where you really understand how all of these things are connected. One of the things that I recently had to come to terms with is that even friendships or relationships, that fallout that you're having with somebody, or you go somewhere and you're trying to have a conversation with people and they're not feeling you, it has nothing to do with you. It's because you and that person are not aligned, and God is literally like making you and that person repel, or you and that person are repelling because of your faith or your different faiths or your different energy. So much that when you're around people who are aligned, you will feel it, you will know it, you will know that God actually made all of this happen. That is why I don't get upset anymore when things don't work out, because I know that something else is coming that is gonna feel so much better than how I feel right now, or how this thing that I was trying to hold on to made me feel, whether it's a job, whether it's an interaction, whether it's a relationship, maybe it's a friendship that you had in church, whether it's, I don't know, you're at a restaurant and you're trying to get help from a waiter, and that person is giving you energy that is just like, what is going on? What did I do to you? It's okay. You're going to have a day where you walk into a different restaurant or the same restaurant and somebody who is sent by God. Now, honestly, every interaction that is amazing. I give all the glory to God. It is God who orchestrated all of that. Every refreshing interaction that you experience, a lot of the times, if not all the time, it is orchestrated by God. So this morning, yesterday, there was I had the opportunity to interview a lady who was supposed to come and talk about her partner, like how her partner passed away due to a certain cancer. So what happened was yesterday, right? I was panicking. I was like, okay, I don't have anybody to interview on my first hour of my show. What am I gonna do? I'm supposed to be talking about this cancer, and I really feel like I either need a medical expert or I need somebody who's going to share that personal story. So, um, so I was there. I was panicking. I was losing my mind. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I had a meeting in the morning with some lady and her son and my boss. And what we're supposed to, it was just like an introductory meeting. And while we were conversing, this lady ends up talking about this particular cancer that I was looking for somebody to interview around. So what happened was, as we were now like parting ways, I'm like, yo, hi, may I please talk to you? May I please get your contact information? I'm really interested. I know it's short notice, but I'm really interested in interviewing you tomorrow for my radio show. In that moment, I was like, I think that this is God. God is the one that, like, I was there panicking, but I decided to also calm down because really, He's gonna work it out like He always does. And I really thought that God is the one that brought me together with this woman in this moment so that she could come and speak on the radio show, on my radio show today. Okay, fine. She agrees. Um, this morning she calls me and she says, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I think because of the sensitivity of the situation, it's still so new. My husband literally passed away in February. It's still so new. Also, I think I want to is it maintain? I want to maintain his dignity by not speaking about how he passed away or what was his cause of death. And I was like, I totally understand. Like, I had two options in that moment: to freak out, like God have me, or to be calm and say thank you to the lady because I trust God is gonna work out. So I chose the latter. I chose to calmly tell her, thank you so much. I understand that it's sensitive and I appreciate you sharing with me these feelings. And I told her, if you want to send a voice message or a message, do go ahead and do that, just so you can contribute to the conversation. Luckily, the other reason why I was kind of calm is that during the week I had done research about the particular cancer, so I was able to like basically do it by just free flow by myself without the help of anybody. And I was hoping that listeners would also just send through messages letting me know what their thoughts, their stories about that cancer journey or their experiences. So went in, did the first hour of the show. During I was anxious because she had long said at around 10 a.m. that she would send a message. She by 12 she hadn't sent anything, and then she ended up sending something at around past 12. I think she tuned in for a second and was like, oh, okay, let me quickly send this message. She ended up sending a text instead of a voice message. I was like, it's okay. Nonetheless, I appreciate her contribution. So long story short, that first hour, that first segment ended up going pretty well. There were a few people who shared their experiences, their thoughts around the topic, and the first hour went pretty well. And yeah, I think what I will leave you with is one, never show up or never talk about yourself so highly. That's one of the things that in my Christian journey as a new Christian that I've started to learn, that I'm actually like still learning, that it's not about you, it's not about you always giving yourself the props, the daps, whatever language you want to use. It's about God because He's the one that orchestrated all of this. It's not your might, your power, your strength, it's all Him. So don't give yourself the props. When you speak about yourself, it's important to have that humility and that awareness of that fact that it's not all you. And so when you talk about even your interests, even your what you've been able to achieve, the glory belongs to Him and not you. So with that being said, I could talk all and on and on and on about this, and we've lost a few people. Thank you so much, Gebogolo Soholudi. I really appreciate your comment. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much, guys. I am done, and I hope that you will tune into the live tomorrow as well. Good night.